Wow, unbelievable. The WBC's clean boxing program will now adopt similar rules to WADA and allow fighters to have smaller amounts of Clenbuterol in their system. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Sign up for ESPN Plus below using the link in my description box. It does help the channel as I am an affiliate. Now, this is, really getting severe and unbelievable. And Michael Benson of Talk Sport, link in the description. He's just one of the many people talking about the latest news. And he put a needle with a stake right next to it. And it says, the WBC have announced that they will now be adopting a new standard set by WADA into their VADA Clean Boxing Programme, which considers a higher threshold needed to test positive for Clenbuterol. They claim this will prevent athletes being penalized due to contaminated meat. Now, the only athletes that I can even think of recently, unless you guys know of recent boxing athletes that have tested positive, they've all been Mexican fighters, right? Unless you could tell me, a Luis Ortiz or Alexander Povetkin or anybody else that has tested positive for Clenbuterol in the last 5 years in boxing, right? So, Boxing News 24, link in the description. New media. Let's talk about it. WBC announces Clenbuterol and WADA's new standard. World Boxing Council announced on Thursday that they've adopted a newer threshold standard for WADA testing for the banned substance Clenbuterol for their VADA boxing program, clean boxing program. The newer thresholds for detecting Clenbuterol is a move by WADA and WBC from penalizing fighters that eat contaminated meat that contains the banned substance. The WBC says the new threshold is confirmation of the innocence of fighters like Saul Canelo Alvarez and Francisco Vargas, both of which tested positive for Clenbuterol in VADA conducted tests not too long ago. According to the WBC, 2 Mexican fighters tested positive for Clenbuterol, but it was below the WADA standard, the identifying positive test. In other words, there wasn't enough of the Clenbuterol substance in the test results for the 2 fighters to be viewed as having failed WADA tests. That's what the newer adjusted. So basically, you guys see what it is. This is boxing in a nutshell. When things don't work or, the double standards, you don't want to give a fighter credit, what do? You move the goalpost. When Ray Vargas, who's a WBC champion, Mexican, and also Julio Cesar Martinez, who just fought Charlie Edwards, when they failed drug tests recently, let me show you guys so you guys can see. They failed drug tests back to back. Clenbuterol failed. Here it is. Shout out to Michael Benson. WBC Super Bantamweight champion. This just happened. Ray Vargas with Golden Boy. He's a Golden Boy fighter. And flyweight mandatory, who was supposed to fight for a title because Charlie Edwards ducked him in a rematch. And now the belt is vacated. So Julio Cesar Martinez have both tested positive for minute trace elements of Clenbuterol in VADA tests. The WBC has decided to take no action as they believe it was due to contaminated Mexican meat, as with Canelo. So they allowed Francisco Vargas to fight for the WBC title against Orlando Salido when he had Clenbuterol in the system. Eric Morales fought Danny Garcia. I don't remember what belts were on the line, but Danny Garcia fought in the rematch with Eric Morales. He had Clenbuterol in the system. Canelo last year had Clenbuterol in the system, got no monetary fine and suspended for 6 months. But then he came back right away, straight away, and fought against Golovkin. Now you have Ray Vargas and Julio Cesar Martinez, right? And they test positive for Clenbuterol. So what do? They bend the rules and change the test. Now they're going to follow the WBC Clean Boxing Program. When they came out with it, they spelled out all the rules. But now so many fighters that the WBC are connected to, like WBC champions, people, they have a relationship with Golden Boy, etc., DAZN, whatever. Now so many people are failing with Clenbuterol. So now their strategy is like, let's rethink this and we'll accept higher levels of Clenbuterol than previously written, because it must be something wrong with the meat. Boxing ceases to amaze me, and not in a good way, because stuff like this doesn't make sense. When have you ever heard of the NFL say, like, okay, you can't smoke marijuana in the league if we do a random test on you and you have marijuana, and then all of a sudden a star player test spot, Michael Irving, because he had some drug issues, so we use him. So the Dallas Cowboys 90s, Michael Irving tests positive for marijuana, right? So he should be facing whatever penalty that the NFL has written. And then that's like them saying, oh, he only had a tiny piece of kush. It was just a little bubble kush. That was a little bit of kush, bro. That was Reggie. You just changed the whole rule. Okay. You can't have marijuana in your system, end of, and then all of a sudden it's like, that was a tiny piece of kush. That was a little sativa. That was a little bit, bro. That's what they're basically doing. So the WBC is like, all right, we were being too strict on the Clenbuterol. Now you can have some in your system because it must be the meat, And I was super into like the fitness world, bodybuilding, read up, one of my favorite idols or whatever growing up, Arnold Schwarzenegger, so I entered that world, and I know a lot of people who did competition, all types of stuff. I'd read all types of, I was just really intrigued by it. And they have something for the people who aren't natty, who are buff bodybuilders stuff, and it's called microdosing. And I'm not going to get too far into it, but there's microdosing, and just know the people like in bodybuilding, it's not even boxing, the people in bodybuilding who are doing steroids, right? It's a science. You could watch. They actually, if you guys want a reference point, they have a Vice Sports did a just like a docu short about this guy. I think he was from the UK, and he was using anabolics, and they have it down to a science. You get what I'm saying? Like, he had it's like really a cocktail. It was a combination of various different types and different potencies, and different vials of steroids, and like, okay, week 1 start with this, right? Then use a little bit of this, and then taper off of it, and you cycle off of this. It's really like kind of a formula to what they do. Like, it's basically like, here in layman's terms, when you go to the doctor and they say, okay, you have severe allergies, and they prescribe you, okay, use this Flonase once daily. You take this pill twice. It's the same thing. So, I'm not stupid. In combat sports, there's PED abuse, and there's different ways to thwart it. But now with the WBC having so many fighters that the reports are coming out that they're failing drug tests, they've decided to, flex the rules a little bit and bend and accept the WADA protocol. Why didn't they do that from the beginning then? So either way, whatever you think about it, to me, it's not a good look, because you had written rules that was, quote unquote, catching people. And it's really, from what I know, it's really applying. So is really applying to certain fighters who are, WBC champions and with Golden Boy, VADA, DAZN or something. I haven't heard of when Luis Ortiz and Povetkin and different fighters are failing. I never heard the name Clenbuterol, right? But I did hear it with Eric Morales, Francisco Vargas, Ray Vargas, Canelo Alvarez, and also recently Julio Cesar Martinez. Now, again, perception is reality. I had a teacher once tell me that. And the WBC was founded in Mexico, the late, great Jose Suleiman, right? And this seems to be affecting people who live in the Mexico region or China. But I haven't heard of any Chinese fighters. That's where they say Clenbuterol. If you look it up, that's where they say it's predominant. The people who have failed and stuff like that, the results. But I haven't heard of any Chinese known fighters or whatever that have failed for this. So just to me, I don't think that changing the rule after Ray Vargas and Julio Cesar Martinez failed, literally within a week, and now the rule has changed. I don't know. Me personally, I don't think that's a good look. Even after Canelo, okay, after he failed, why didn't the rule change? But it's now, since it's such a repeat offense and people have this built-in scapegoat, now they're increasing the amount, that you can have. So I don't know how that is really fair. And you can see people, look, wow, just wow. This is a nice way to say they will allow Canelo to use. This is not my thoughts. This is just random people on the site. This is a nice way to say they will allow Canelo to use PEDs, create a weight class of 155 for him. Also a way for him to keep the belts without having to face the number one classified. WBC is totally corrupt. Someone needs to investigate these emails. People just going in, So I don't know. I don't like it. So in 1 year, the WBC, has came out with the franchise title, franchise champion, right? And they've now switched their rules to somebody else's protocol, or they got with WADA or whatever, however they're labeling this. But the bottom line is you could have more Clenbuterol in your system than was previously the case. I don't see how that's a benefit to boxing. And I just feel who else, no one else has breaks like this. Let's say you're a black fighter and you ate fried chicken, right? And you come up with a failed test. You don't have nothing to say. You can't say, oh yeah, I had that Toradol in my shit. You know what I'm saying? I had that stanozolol in. It's the fried chicken. It's these collard green. You don't really have nothing to fall back on. So I feel like you're a professional fighter. You're responsible for what goes into your body. I feel like without changing the rule, there has to be adopt a vegan diet. Nate Diaz, he's a beast. Nate Diaz is tough as fuck, and he's a vegan. Brian Jennings is ripped as fuck. That's my dude. Shout out to B.Y. Jennings. Shout out to Philly. Bro, Brian Jennings, every time I've ever seen him, he got a six-pack, bro. He's in shape, right? And he's a vegan. And he adopted veganism years ago. He's been a stout, diehard vegan, so, I don't know. I don't know what people do. I can't control where people live and stuff like that, especially for Canelo, man, because Canelo has a bit of money to move around. He could have a training camp in the UK if he wanted to, or he lives in San Diego. Why? I don't understand this, why, if my credibility, this is especially for Canelo, my credibility and image, and I'm the face of boxing, and everything is on the line. I got a $350 million deal. I live in San Diego now. Why do you have to go for a 6 to 12 week camp? You have to go to Mexico, where the regulations or the standards for meat and what farmers use is, in the air. Why do you have to train and eat meat while you're out there? And to be honest, the other thing that's crazy is Andy Ruiz has a personal chef right now. You know, he has a personal chef, and I was looking at the diet and stuff, and also my dude. This is a true story. You could ask him. I just talked to my dude Jamel Herring, and he's shredded. He's like ripped. I'm like, damn. I'm like, are you a vegan? Like, what are you doing? Like, he's like, no body fat on him. And then he messaged me back, and he said, nah, I just been on real lean chicken and fish, veggies, stuff like that. So it's like, I love beef. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love red meat. I know it's not necessarily the greatest for you, but I love it. I'm a meat eater. You know what I mean? T-Rex shit. But what about chicken? You know, fish, pescado. You know, what about that? Like, it's not like you like pork. Because like to be honest, pork is not even pork is not cow. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like you just have to eat it. Even if you like, just analyze what I'm saying to you. Let's say you're in Mexico and you like, damn, I need some food. You know, I want a nice little plate. You can't get pork, pastor. Like, you know, you can't get chicken, pescado, fish, nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like that, to me, it's just like, if we just bow down and change the rules, then what's the real consequence for fighters? And like I said, they have different things called microdosing, masking agents, different ways to flush the shit out. So I feel like now it's going to be harder to catch the people who really are doing something, you know? And under these new rules from the WBC, they're saying Canelo would have never failed a drug test. You get what I'm saying? So this is seeming like a booming problem, and it's applying to a specific group of fighters, it looks like. And then now all of a sudden, a company from that same region changed the rule. They, you know, moved to a field goal post. I don't see how that perception wise would be good. You know what I'm saying? You know, and again, it falls on the fighters and their team. Like, these guys are making some money, you know, at this level. These are like champions. It's not like fucking Adonis Creed when he first started. Like, these are like that's Golden Boy's champion, Ray Vargas and Canelo and stuff like that. There has to be some better way, I feel, you know, and if there is no better way, then why eat meat? Like, why eat meat? Don't eat meat, or eat non-cow meat, where I don't think it's a prevalent thing, but just to change the rule, I don't know. You know, it looks like Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., he refused to do a VADA test, came up with a excuse or whatever, said, oh, me and the guy got into it, blah, blah, blah. He didn't show me his badge, and, you know, now you could come test me. It doesn't work like that, you know, because you can't, that doesn't defeat the whole purpose of a random test, random blood and urine. If they pop up on you, you weren't expecting it, you know, get in an argument with them, send them home, and then a week later, 2 days later, you say, oh yeah, they could come back and test me when they want. You could have flushed your system by that. Like, come on, bro. And people like, oh yeah, he said they could come back. That defeats the whole purpose of a random. That's like a surprise party, and then you send a birthday invitation to the person you're trying to surprise. Then it's not a surprise party, you know. If you tell them, how's it a surprise? You know, so that's pretty fucking stupid. Anyway, I don't know what's going on with boxing, but that's the latest news. You can have more Clenbuterol in your system, and they have a new testing standard for that. You know, let me know what you guys think. If you love what I'm doing, smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.